Hello and welcome to the Real Positive Girl podcast with me, Sabrina. This is the show that is going to help you become your best self. And I am just here to help you on that journey, as we are all on that journey, including myself. And today we're going to be talking about feeling out of it and disinterested. But before we jump into that, I do want to invite you to come over and say hi to me on Instagram. I am at Sabrina Joy Perozzo, and you can just check in the show notes on how to spell that, because I do know it is a difficult name, but I would love to hear from you, and I would love to become friends and just chat back and forth. If you prefer email, that is down in the show notes as well. I do respond to both, and I would love to hear from you and continue to learn more about this community that likes to listen to the show. But let's get into the episode. Like I said, today we're talking about feeling out of it and disinterested, and I've kind of titled this as I'm just not in the mood. I'm just not in the mood. So I get these days, or a couple of days, or like a cluster of days, I guess you could say, where I'm in a funk, but not really, because when you think of a funk, you think of something negative, and it's not anything negative. I for sure feel moody, but not in a negative way. It's like the best way I can describe it. Not in a way that I'm mad at anyone or that I feel anger. It's just a weird mood, and I'm sure I'm not alone in this. And it was actually this week that I had experienced this, and I've experienced it many times before, obviously, but it's like this week I had one, and I was just like, man, today is weird. Today is awkward. I don't understand why this is happening. And even my husband had pointed it out, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not in a bad mood, just so you know. It's just a weird day and feeling moody. And, it can be off-putting to experience this because you feel like it comes like out of nowhere, and it makes you feel like some type of way, because that way is going to be a little bit different for everyone. You're going to feel that offness. You're going to feel like you're in a funk, but not. You know that you're not upset. You're just like, oh, yeah, another day, but not really. But this one doesn't necessarily fit the bill as yesterday or any other day last week or anything like that. So, but for me, it just bothers me. It just bothers me that I get into these. And the people closest to us can usually tell that something is up. Like I mentioned, my husband was very much like, are you okay? Or you're different? Or like, let's just make sure nothing weird's happening with you. But people usually can't help you if you can't even pinpoint what is going on in your mind, So this also feels very common, at least for me. I'm sure, again, I'm not alone in this, but like people in your life do want to help you, but they don't know how, and you probably don't even know how to tell them how, and that's okay. Like that's a common thing. That's something that we should all be accepting of. And again, another reason why I want to put it out there. And I want to make sure that, before we go any deeper in this conversation about talking about feeling moody and out of it and disinterested, that when I'm speaking about feeling out of it and disinterested today in this conversation, I do not mean this in a way that would be concerning and could be the result of depression or something more serious, okay? I think that the moodiness I am speaking of could maybe stem from those struggles a little bit if you are experiencing those, but we aren't talking about it that serious today. And I'm not saying that that isn't a serious situation where you're super disinterested in mostly everything that's happening in your life, and you're not happy and you're feeling super out of it. That is definitely a case where you want to get evaluated by a professional and figure out if you are dipping into like a mental health struggle, a depression, something like that, where you do need to keep an eye on it. So it's important to be vigilant in these efforts to understand what we're feeling and what emotions we are currently displaying and going through. But today, I am not speaking about that. And so I want to just put that out there so someone else is not like, wow, you're just handling this so willy-nilly. And I'm like, no, because we're just not talking about that today. So I just want to put that out there. But if you are having those feelings and it just feels like everything across the board in your life, it's just like nothing, it feels all blah and not worth it, or it just feels like it's all for nothing, please talk to a professional, because they'll be able to help you for sure. So, but back to feeling moody, back to feeling disinterested and out of it, and this feeling that will come and go. And, usually for me, I feel like it happens to me monthly, not necessarily around my period. It doesn't correlate with that. Maybe it does for you, but not for me. So a lot of times when we feel this way, It can be from boredom in our life, feeling like we are stuck in a rut, you aren't challenging yourself enough, your expectations are too low, which is hilarious because that's not hilarious, but it's hilarious because I'll go more into that a little bit later based on the things that I talk about on the regular here in the show. Maybe you're unmotivated or you truly feel like you should be doing something else, but aren't sure how to move in that direction to accomplish and get those things that you want. So this is what I want to chat about today. I want to review these things that might be at the root of us being in our moods and just kind of go over it because I think it would be helpful for maybe someone else that also has this moodiness, has these feelings, and you are unsure about what's going on. And so you might just be able to evaluate and be like, oh, maybe it's some of these things. So I'm just going to share like 5 with you really quick, and hopefully it'll be helpful. So the first one I want to talk about is just boredom, general boredom. With boredom, we need to mix it up. We need to mix it up a bit. Interests change over time as we get older and get involved in more things and different experiences, different people in and out of our lives. So interests are change and we grow and change. And so what we need to do to hold our attention and for fun, just things that we do in our life to enjoy, sometimes those need to change too. Like sometimes they don't need to change. An example would be that for me, when I was a child, I loved to read, and that spanned through a good chunk of my life. I feel like I kind of took a little bit of a break in college because I had to read more educational material, and that kind of soured it for me just a little bit. And just involved in other things and, dating my husband, stuff like that. But then, after I got married, I was spending more time reading again, and it just kind of came back in a flurry. And I feel like even in the season of life I've been in right now, I've been kind of out of reading for probably a year. And when I say out of reading, I mean not reading a book all the time or not having a book on deck every week, you know what I mean? And so, because that was definitely me. I'm the type of person that when I buy a book, I probably need to buy 3 at once so that I have one to jump into a day after I finish the other one. So I don't spend 2 days having to read reviews and figure out what I'm going to read. Anyway, I digress. So for me, that interest, it doesn't change. That I know for a fact that interest is probably going to stay with me forever because it's a core thing for me. However, there's other interests like I used to really, really, really love ice skating growing up. It was super fun. And I kind of grew out of really super loving it. I will do it from time to time. And of course, where I live now, it's not as easy to do that. I grew up in Alaska where you can easily go skating outside on the often, not during the summertime, obviously, but it was just more available during the wintertime when I like to do it. And here, you can't even ice skate outside in the wintertime because it's not cold enough and it doesn't freeze over and you have to go inside and it's not as fun. So there are just going to be things that change in our life, and us continually forcing ourselves to go back and do the things that we used to love and think that those are the only things we're allowed to do or those are the only things that are capable of filling our time is wrong, and we need to evaluate what we can do to mix it up and change it. This can also go for sometimes the people that you spend time with. I know that sounds harsh, but sometimes those people are just not it anymore. And not necessarily you have to replace them and be like, peace out, we're good. I got to find better friends. No, it's just more of finding additional people in your life that you can spend time with, that you can grow from, that you can learn from, and that can help you just adapt and change into the person that you're meant to be. So if it's boredom, if you feel the root of it is boredom, you got to mix it up a bit. So the next one is stuck in a rut. I feel like I've been stuck in a rut many times, and I'm sure many of us have. And you got to throw something new in your routine. And so being stuck in a rut would be you wake up, you make your coffee, you do your journaling, and you do your stretches, and you get ready for work, and you go to work, and you come home, and you make dinner, and you watch your show, and you do your journaling, you go to bed, and you do the exact same routine every single day. And there's nothing wrong with routine. Routine is so comforting. Routine helps you feel like you're in control, especially if you have control issues. Routine will help you accomplish your goals and stay on top of things. Routine is great. However, if your routine is the same every single day for forever, then you could feel like you're stuck in a rut. And you can still have a routine, even a routine that kind of changes day to day just a little bit, just to, again, mix it up and allow you to challenge yourself with new opportunities. So let's say that, you like to journal, but maybe you journal after reading a different book. You read one book one part of the week and another book the other part of the week, or every other day or something like that. Or maybe one day if you do like meditation, maybe one day you take it outside. Maybe your workouts, if you do workout in the morning like I do, I like to mix it up. And, one day is leg day, one day is upper body, one day is just cardio day. And so it helps me to have 3 different workouts every single week. And so it's something like that. So you have to be able to mix it up and also challenge yourself with new opportunities, so that you don't feel like you're stuck in a rut and you're just continuously doing the same thing until the day that you die, because those feelings can be so strong and overwhelming. So I encourage you to, again, mix it up and really think about what will fit you best. I'm not saying that you have to take any of these suggestions like verbatim, but really think about like, okay, well, let me try this. If it doesn't work, I'll try something else. And even if you try something and it doesn't feel right and you go back to your regular routine, but you still feel stuck in a rut, but you're like, okay, we're going to slowly try to change new things and see what we can do. And that's what you can do. And that's what the best course of action is. So the next one is low expectations. And the reason that I laughed about low expectations before is because a lot of times, I talk about bringing your expectations down to a reasonable level often, all the time, because these are usually higher than necessary for a lot of the things that I'm talking about. But sometimes these can be too low in life. It just feels too easy. So a lot of times I'm talking about people pleasers, perfectionists, us just wanting to be a really good embodiment of someone that people want to spend time with, that they want to interact with. And so, your expectations for yourself are super high. But if maybe you did take my advice, or maybe you came across the advice where like, okay, I do really need to lower my expectations to enjoy my life more, but you lower them so low that life is so easy. You don't feel like you're being challenged. You don't feel like you're growing and learning. And it just feels like a puddle of mud and you're just like, blah, So I would encourage you to really evaluate if you need to, heighten your expectations just a little bit for yourself and be like, okay, I need to do things that are a little bit harder, that will, teach me things through failure and mistakes, that will help me be led in the right direction where I need to go for my life, that will excite me and, again, challenge me and push me down and help me to rise back up stronger. That's the importance of having that perfect, not perfect, but, but almost perfect level of expectations for yourself. And that's going to change all the time depending upon what season of life you're in and what challenges you are enduring, of course. So I think it's very important for you to realize that the level of your expectations will not necessarily be the same as someone else. So just keep that in mind. And that's true for everything. And I know it's really hard to remember that in the moment, but it's really important that we try our best to, because it'll help us to compare ourselves to other people way less and enjoy our life so much more. Okay, so the fourth one is unmotivated. So maybe you're feeling moody and disinterested because you're unmotivated to do the things that you want to do, like deepen your heart and your mind. And I laugh because I've been there, of course, where I'm like, yeah, I definitely want to do these things, but I'm super unmotivated to actually do them, or I will live that procrastinator life where I'm just like, no, let's put it off for just a little bit longer. We aren't always going to be motivated, though, to do what we want to do in life. This is where discipline comes in. There will be times you have to force yourself to get it done or get back into it if you were into it and then now you're not. But sometimes rewards can be helpful jumping off points to get going. So we'll talk about the rewards in a minute, but again, discipline. So a very prime example and something that does apply to my life, maybe not yours, but you can think of it in another way, is exercise. So I exercise 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. I like it that way because on my weekends I can just sleep in and chill, or go to church, or go shopping, or whatever. I don't have to really worry about okay, when am I going to wake up to work out and then shower and then get ready and blah, blah, blah. So because at least if I work out in the morning before work, my routine's generally the same, and it makes it easy for me. But, there's definitely been times where I'll wake up in the morning, I will literally waste 30 minutes on my phone in bed, and I know that's a terrible habit, but it's a habit that I have chosen not to really deal with right now, because I don't feel like it's super detrimental to me. It does, help me waste time that could be better spent, but whatever. I'm not there yet. So, but a lot of times I will wake up and just stare at the ceiling and be like, I don't want to work out today. And it's not because I don't enjoy it or I have this negative feeling towards it. It's because I'm just not feeling motivated that day. I'm just not feeling it, right? I'm just like, I gotta just turn around. And by turn around, I mean turn in the bed, go back to sleep for another hour and a half, depending upon what time it is, and then just get up and wash my face and then go walk to my desk and work and just tell myself I'm going to work out later. And sometimes I do. A lot of times I don't. And so this is why I have to have the discipline to be like, okay, maybe you don't want to do the push-ups today, or maybe you don't want to squat or do lunges or whatever it is, but you could at least get your butt out of bed and go walk on the treadmill. This is the minimum effort you have committed to putting into. But usually for me, it's once I get going, I'm like, okay, I've walked, I did my warm-up, because I do my warm-up every morning on the treadmill anyway. But I would tell myself if I really don't want to do anything else, I would just continue to walk and watch a show on my phone. How hard is that? But usually by the time that I get, up and awake and everything, pre-workout's going, I'm like, okay, I'm going to work out. But it's because I have this discipline of you got to get up. You have to get out of bed. Sometimes I don't get out of bed. We'll just hit the snooze and go back to sleep. And because no one's perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. Just so you know, we're not perfect. But a lot of times it's the discipline for me that really, really helps. Maybe there's something else in your routine like journaling or prayer, meditation, walking your dog, meal prepping, let's see, I don't know, talking to a friend on the phone, certain days of the week, whatever it is, there's probably things in your life that make your day better. And it's the discipline of having those things in your routine that continues to help you actually do those things, even if you're not feeling motivated to do it, right? It's knowing that at the end of doing that thing or in the middle of it, you will feel so much better. Now, if you're feeling moody because you're unmotivated to, do something new in your life, that is where we get into the last one that I want to come up with, or I want to bring up to you, which is you desire something different. So I feel like this is kind of related to being unmotivated because you desire something different, but maybe you're not necessarily motivated to go after it yet or to try it. So I feel like this often, but one of the most helpful things to do to overcome this feeling is to take action. You have to take action. If you don't feel motivated, you have to think about how well and how good you'll feel after you start doing it or after you accomplish it or after it happens. That's the mindset you have to go in with. I know that will be hard because you'll think you'll feel this way, and maybe you will or you won't, but you have to take it as positive as you can. Really think about how happy you will be after you do this thing or start it or get it going, and just ride the coattails of those hopeful feelings, right? But yeah, you have to take action. And I know that's the scary part. The scary part is definitely taking action, but making the plan of how you would like it to work out or how it should work out or that will guide you along, and then actually working to make it happen will take effort and patience for sure, without a shadow of a doubt, but it's worth it when it's something you truly want. If it's not something that you truly want, then you might want to reconsider on whether that's actually something you desire. And if you feel like you're unmotivated, but you're really like, no, I just don't want to do this, really think about it. Really think about whether it's something you want to do, really think about if it's something that someone else is trying to convince you to do that you don't really want to do, but you feel like you're being pushed into it. A lot of these things need to come into your mindset and be decided. And that will really help you figure out if you are unmotivated, if you actually want to do it, if you actually really desire something different than this, because that's not truly what's in your heart. That's all. I mean, that's just the long and short of it, right? So maybe you desire something different. Like I said, I feel like this often where I'm like, I really want my life to be a little bit different than it is right now. But I know that I'm not going to get there unless I do something about it. And sometimes we just want to sit and hope and wish and think about how life could be better and not do anything about it because it's a lot of hard work. And we realize that, and we realize how committed we'll need to be and how we could fall on our face and fail and make mistakes along the way. And sometimes that's too scary. And sometimes we just need to take a little bit more time to muster up the courage and push ourselves out there a little bit more before we actually go after it. And that's okay, because yes, you don't want to live your life in fear. I did that for the longest time and still kind of do, but not as much, thankfully, with help and counseling and such. But it's okay to have a little bit of fear. It means that you are trying to be cautious and make the right decision and do the best that you can based on your knowledge and experience, but know that you're not going to be able to get through life unscathed without any mistakes, without any failures, because those are such great learning lessons that we are blessed with them kind of often. So just know that's okay and that's common. But I hope that this honest conversation about our moody moods was helpful to you. It's helpful to me to talk to you about it. And I just appreciate you guys so much. So thank you so much for listening to the Real Positive Girl podcast, again with me, Sabrina. Please check the show notes below to find me on Instagram, which is at Sabrina Joy Perozzo, or send me an email to realpositivegirlpodcast@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you and chat with you and get to know you even better. Again, thanks for listening, downloading, and sharing the show. I super duper appreciate you. And also, when you contact me, I would love to hear any suggestions for upcoming topics. I have recently gotten that, and I love that, and it helps me go in the right direction for what you guys want to listen and learn about. So anyway, have a good one, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.